I failed you guys. Truly, I am so sorry. Back in this video, I originally said that I was going to mention Super Mario 3D World in every single video I made this year. And I was going strong too. I somehow worked in a mention of 3D World into all of these videos you see on the screen right now. And unfortunately, I just couldn't keep going. Midway through February, I just forgot. And there were videos I was posting that did not have any Super Mario 3D World. So to truly express my sorrow and how terrible I feel that I've broken this promise, we've got like a 17-minute retrospective on why I love 3D World so much. In all seriousness, this video was a long time coming. This channel is very much my passion project, meaning that this channel, this URL, this insignificant little corner of the internet is deeply personal to me and what I want to talk about. That being said, it's truly a miracle I never got around to fully discussing 3D World. Sure, I talked about it countless times, often in the context of why it should come to Switch, but I've never sat down and done an entire video on why I'm truly in love with this game that so many consider to be the weakest link in the home console 3D Mario series. While a statement like this is obviously going to be controversial, I hope throughout the next 17 minutes or so, I can convince you guys that I'm truly not crazy when I say that Super Mario 3D World is my favorite 3D Mario game, ever. Fans of my channel will know that this video is somewhat uncharted territory for me. I've never really made a retrospective like this, and I've never made a video this long. So to combat the incoherent rambling that will surely ensue, despite the fact that I'm writing a script for the first time since my first ever video on this channel, I'm going to separate this video into 3 distinct parts. Think of it as that Animal Crossing New Horizons Direct, but a lot less cute and a whole lot more Mario.
Let's go!
The 3 distinct parts I'm going to talk about today are the actual game itself, various levels, and the memories I've made playing this game. Obviously, most of this video will be spent on the actual game itself, because the game is what makes the game good. Alright, that's what I get for writing my scripts at 3 AM. However, despite that, this is still going to be a deeply personal video, something a lot more personal than I'm used to making. I figured this was necessary to demonstrate just how much this game means to me, but I'd love to eventually do this sort of retrospective with other games that helped shape who I am today, like Pokemon Sapphire and Mario Kart Wii. Depends on whether or not you guys enjoy this video and whether it performs well, I guess. This is more of a disclaimer than anything, but I want to stress, like with every game ever, my opinion is probably gonna differ from yours. Right off the bat, this game is incredibly special to me because of the circumstances in which I played it. I'm not going to go into depth here because this could honestly fill a much longer and much more personal video on its own, but this game literally could have been Sonic Boom, and I would be looking back on it fondly based on when I played it, who I was when I played it, and who I played it with. This is still 100% my own opinion, and hopefully you guys can understand that different circumstances help shape different experiences. Anyway, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this video, the actual game itself. When it comes to Super Mario 3D World and why I like this game more than all of these other incredible titles, the key word here is variety. Super Mario 3D World simply has more variety than every other 3D Mario game. Because of its smaller level structure, 3D World is able to introduce ideas at a more rapid pace, where something like Super Mario Odyssey is forced to keep a set theme throughout a kingdom. Mario 3D World isn't bound by that restraint at all. Look at the Snow Kingdom in Mario Odyssey, for example. There's a fair amount of platforming here, but it's almost all snow-based. Gets kinda repetitive. Meanwhile, in 3D World's World 3, the similarly snow-themed world, you start off with a traditional snow level, sure, but that transitions into an auto-scroller in the sky, a ghost house, and a freaking Mario Kart throwback. Like, this is so cool. The amount of variety on display in 3D World is seriously remarkable, whether it's the tremendous big band that features an abundance of catchy songs, the types of platforming in 3D World, or even the various locations all this platforming takes place. Super Mario 3D World just has an incredible amount of game on its bones. People always talk about how 3D World pales in comparison to Super Mario Odyssey's 836 unique moons, but anyone who's 100%ed both titles recently will probably agree that that's not the case. Out of Super Mario Odyssey's 836 unique moons, most people will admit that significantly less of those require legitimate platforming skill. Moons are often just placed within arm's reach, hidden with hint art, or involve the story that all players will be experiencing anyways. In Super Mario 3D World, all 465 stars are additional challenges. None of them are just there. And you don't get rewarded for just doing what you're supposed to be doing either. You have to go out of your way to collect all these green stars. Obviously this comes down to personal preference, but I would 100% rather complete Super Mario 3D World again, because each collectible truly feels like an achievement. One of the very few complaints I even have with the masterpiece that is Mario Odyssey is how these cheap filler moons feel devaluing to other more challenging moons. That problem is decimated in 3D World, as quality is maintained across the board despite having 465 collectibles, an insane amount considering that each is independent from the main level. Another reason that I like 3D World's more direct level design is how it balances platforming versus exploration. When playing a Mario game, I like to press a button and get into the platforming. When playing Mario Odyssey, part of the game is finding where you need to platform. Obviously there's a fair amount of platforming in the various kingdoms, but the only remotely challenging portions are located in various sub-areas, which are scattered throughout the overworld. Odyssey is a very adventure-oriented game. The game seemingly places more emphasis on what's around the next corner than the pure platforming challenge. 3D World cuts out the fat of exploration in favor of an abundance of platforming-focused levels. This is 100% a personal preference, and I can understand people thinking a different way, but I will always gravitate towards a more of an action-packed platforming game than a game with an emphasis on adventure. When playing Mario games, I play them to platform, not to adventure. Mario is a platformer to me, and if I wanted to adventure, I'd just play Breath of the Wild. To me and so many others, the best parts of Odyssey were these moon pipes, which would take Mario down to a 2 to 3 minute long sub-area filled with a linear platforming challenge. Combine 2 or 3 of these moon pipes and you get the same amount of platforming as just one 3D World stage. In part due to its linear get-to-the-flagpole style of gameplay, Super Mario 3D World is the most platforming-oriented 3D Mario ever. It almost entirely ditches exploration and mindless backtracking for an incredibly streamlined and consistent game. Once again, I know this will ruffle some feathers, but I would 100% rather play a game like 3D World where you're consistently platforming than a game like Odyssey where you spend half the game time looking for the next place you can platform. However, literally none of this matters if the level design isn't actually good. Luckily, Super Mario 3D World is home to some of the most entertaining platforming challenges in the whole Mario franchise. Something I hate about these retrospective videos is how people always cherry-pick various moments of a game to help illustrate their point. Obviously, that makes sense, and I've probably done it already and will continue to do so, but cherry-picking various points doesn't always help to paint the most accurate picture of what a game is, so I'm not going to specifically choose standout levels such as Shadow Play Alley, a creative level that utilizes Shadow to integrate comedic gimmicks into an otherwise standard level. Hands-On Hall, a Metal Gear Solid-esque sneak through a Goomba-infested dojo, culminating in a stunt-filled scamper up the slanted roofs. Or The Great Goal Pole, a hilarious chase where you start off quite literally so close, yet so far away. I definitely won't mention any of them. But seriously, to give you guys a legitimate view of how unique all the levels are, I'm going to randomly generate 3 numbers from 1 to 50, then play the corresponding level, and explain to you guys how awesome they are. For obvious reasons, I can't really script out this next section, so bear with me. Alright, random number generated between 1 and 50. There's way more than 50 levels in this game. I just thought 50 would be a good place to cap it off, because we don't want to get into the special worlds, because those are their own beast. Alright, we got level 8, level 20, and level 25. Alright, 8, 20, 25. Alright, so just got done playing the 3 random 3D World levels, and they sucked. Nah, just kidding, they were great. So the first one I played was 2-2, aka level 8, aka Puff Prod Peaks. This level is more of a tutorial than anything. It introduces 2 new elements to the world of Super Mario 3D World. These elements are blocks that by touching the gamepad move, and platforms that move when you blow into the gamepad's microphone. Starting off the level, these elements are introduced in an extremely safe environment, with pretty much no threat to the player whatsoever. However, despite there being no real challenge, it allows more skilled players to demonstrate their skill and rewards them by hiding a green star up here, requiring a few tricky wall jumps to get. After the checkpoint, stuff doesn't get too intense because this is still the 8th level in the game, but it gets substantially more difficult. Not only is there no more ground to, save you if you misstep, but players now have to act pretty quickly because if they don't blow at the right time or if they don't touch the gamepad, these platforms will move out of the way or disappear, obviously leading to their inevitable doom. A brief cloud section to the second green star provides a nice fun escape from the relatively calm and slow-paced base level. Finally, the two elements that have been used independently throughout this level are combined together, creating the grand finale, hardest part of the level. Not only is this level essentially a masterclass in platforming design, but just aesthetically, it's a super cool style. The walls and ground are all made out of like this velvet-y material, and it's not something that I believe is shown in any other level in the entire game. Kinda wish they came back to it, but I guess that's what makes Mario 3D World so great. They're not afraid to have an awesome idea and just never go back to it, because there's so much they need to get through in this game. Alrighty, next up, the Bullet Bill Express. The final level in World 3, Bullet Bill Express, is a train level, which is essentially 3D World's replacement for the airships. This level reintroduces these cannon boxes, which are a blast, and it makes sure to give you a lot of crates to, show your mastery of the item. On top of that, there's this really cool part where these bonsai cat bills will come be shot at you from another train in the background, which is cool enough, but you eventually get to go on that train. After a quick and admittedly generic fight with Pom Pom, you've defeated the final level in World 3. Last but certainly not least, we have World 4-4, Big Bounce Byway. This level is similar to Puff Prod Peaks, except it's further along in the game, so the developers felt more comfortable knowing that the player is skilled enough and provided more challenge in the level. Instead of blocks you have to move with the gamepad, this level introduces just anything that bounces. Springs, trampolines, you name it, it's probably in this level. On top of that, this level heavily features Parabitty bugs, these little things. These are the absolute perfect enemy for this level. With one bounce from above, you're able to defeat them, and you're going to be bouncing a lot in this level, so it's a perfect fit. They also have a predictable movement pattern, meaning that you can time your bounces without really putting too much thought into it. The first part of the level sees you climbing up a mountain, utilizing various bounce pads. That on its own is fun, but it's mainly just preparing you for the second half of the level, where you're stuck on one giant bounce pad as it moves along, and you have to avoid different enemies. It's a really fun challenge and truly feels like a legitimate culmination of all the bouncing you were just doing prior. Overall, these three levels were really fun. They were either great ways to introduce a new mechanic, or just flat out fun platforming challenges. Describing video game levels is probably one of the stupidest things ever. You can never make them sound as fun as they actually are. But the fact that I chose these levels at random should at least dictate that all the levels are quality. There isn't a bad apple on this tree, and it's overall an incredible testament to the development team behind this game that they were able to maintain quality throughout this entire title. Hopefully you're still with me. I feel like we've spent enough time talking about the game itself, so I want to hop into what is probably the most important section, the memories. Despite not being as revolutionary as Super Mario 64, or as dramatic as Super Mario Galaxy, I have by far the most fond memories playing Super Mario 3D World. Why? It comes down to two words: multiplayer. This entire video, I haven't once mentioned multiplayer. Every piece of gameplay, every example, every second of this video so far has exclusively showcased single-player footage of what is 100% a multiplayer game. Once again, this is personal preference, but I would rather play a multiplayer game than a single-player game 9 times out of 10. Humans are social creatures, so it only makes sense that multiplayer games have such an appeal. Beating Champions Road on my own is satisfying, yeah, but nowhere near as memorable as the time I stayed up late with my sister for weeks just throwing ourselves at this one freaking level. Like, sure, I probably could have beaten it on my own in 20 minutes, but my sister repeatedly jumping on my head to send me to my inevitable doom just made it so much more impactful once we finally reached the flagpole. I see so many videos of people kind of shitting on this game where the gameplay that they're showing is exclusively single player and they don't mention the multiplayer at all. This is a multiplayer game. Sure, you can play it on your own, but it's just not the same. I would rather play a 7 out of 10 game with multiplayer than a 9 out of 10 single player only experience. Why? Well, games are all about how they make you feel, and even though games with beautiful and touching solo campaigns like Battlefield 5 can fill you with awe, shock, and a sense of wonder, in my opinion, that doesn't even come close to the pure joy you can experience hitting a dumbass trick shot with your friends in the buggier, less polished multiplayer of that same game.
Bro, there's no way you're bringing that back there. Oh my god, dude! What the hell?
Multiplayer games are almost always wins for me, even if the game itself isn't great. But 3D World on its own is more than great, it's a masterpiece. All that incredible platforming gameplay I spent so long talking about earlier, grab a couple of extra Wii remotes, the right friends, and that fun and methodical platforming transforms into a frantic and feverish dash to the finish with accidental and maybe even intentional teammates killing each other to try and reach the end. It's an experience that is quite frankly one of a kind, as no other 3D Mario includes multiplayer to this degree. Just like before, variety is the operative word. In multiplayer, you can be 100% serious and try to beat the game, or you can let it slowly devolve into chaos as players backstab each other and the end goal becomes scoring more points to get this dumbass crown than actually beating the level. Speaking of variety, you can choose from one of 5 characters, all of which play completely differently and will impact how you approach said level. The simple controls, the ability to pick up and throw teammates, the scoring system and crown result in a hilarious multiplayer experience. While I was recording footage for this multiplayer section, my sister killed me multiple times and was straight up throwing the level by wasting our power-up reserve after I started yelling at her in real life. My recording setup for the Wii U is super jank, so I wasn't able to record the audio of me and my sister, but believe me when I say we could not stop laughing. Getting back to the main point of this video, the memories I've made playing this game are truly unrivaled. While Pauline singing Jump Up Superstar in the New Donk City Festival is undoubtedly a more powerful and beautiful moment, I don't remember my first time playing that nearly as vibrantly as frantically running through a double cherry path with 3 Luigis and 4 blue toads, or scampering up Histocrat with 3 friends trying to frantically beat this stupid freaking snake. Overall, Super Mario 3D World isn't the most beautiful 3D Mario. It might not technically have the most content, but I have no problem calling Super Mario 3D World the most fun 3D Mario ever. By combining the excellent linear level design found in the Galaxy and 3D Land games with the chaotic full multiplayer of home console New Super games, Nintendo created a straight up masterpiece that is truly the most fun and memorable 3D Mario game to date. Please, Nintendo, put this game on the Switch. If you watched this far and haven't already, pressing the like button for you guys is just one click, but it helps me out in a ton of ways. If you watched this far, comment your experience with Super Mario 3D World. Have you played it, or are you waiting for a Switch port? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys all in the next one.